today's topic is the power of the tongue.
The spoken word. Yes.
Spoken word. I like to call him Mr. Wilson when I need him to do something.
That's the key.
So, Mr. Wilson, what are your first thoughts when?
My first thoughts is back to, I think the flow at which I first heard, how the spoken word fits into the direction of your life, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's the things you surround yourself with dictate the thoughts that you have. The thoughts that you have dictates the words that you speak, right? The words that you speak lead to your actions lead to your habits, and then your habits lead to your destiny or destruction. So that's the first thing that comes to mind.
Yes. And so, as we were talking about the power of the spoken word, and you said before you even get to the words coming out of your mouth, it starts with your environment.
Mm-hmm.
It starts with the people that you associate with. It starts with your thoughts. And right now, the environments all over, work environments, they're a little hard right now. People are stressed, and it's important. Well, I should ask the question, why is it important for us to, it's like, even though you're in an environment that is stressful, that's been your input, why is it still important for you to speak in a positive manner?
Right. And just by posing that question, then the flow that I talked about earlier, it means that you can disrupt that at any point, right? By making a conscious decision, right? You can either change something upstream that then leads to better. And then in this case, it would be like, oh, well, you change your work environment, you change, your input, things like that. Right? Or you make that conscious decision that, okay, things are falling apart around me, right? And so it doesn't matter what that input is, right? I rely on the well or the bank of good input that I had before to override what's currently happening now. So.
Yeah. And I think sometimes people think of things as being linear, but when you set the cycle, break out of that cycle, going about your thoughts, your words, your actions, your habits, all of those things, and it could lead to the destruction or your destiny. And now you're in the negative, like you're in a negative cycle, right? But when they say to change things around, you have to stop it somewhere, right? And sometimes just speaking differently will allow you to do things differently. It tells your brain like, no, we're not going to think about that. We're not going to do that, right? We're not going to
go down this route.
Yeah, exactly. And as a couple, I read a book, and I think it was, no, it's not Love and Respect. It's a marriage book, I think, by the same, just Love and Respect. Nope, I can't think of the name of the marriage book. But anyway, they talk about being on the crazy cycle, right? As a couple, you do these things and you just get into this endless loop, in a computer background. And so just think about
a soft hang.
Soft hang, right? This endless loop. And then how do you break out of it? And, it's like control break. Like you got it, like there has to be a point where you stop it, kind of thing. And then you have to reevaluate and see what you can do differently so that you don't end up in that. It's great if you're in a loop and the loop is a positive one, right? But then you can't get bored with it.
Yes, that is true, right? That's the plan. You got to work your plan. Keep working your plan. Don't get bored. Don't try and change it up if it's working.
Yeah, I mean, that leads into a whole nother discussion because once you figure it out, then it becomes habit, right? And as it becomes a habit, you don't have to work as hard for it, and so sometimes you can take it for granted. And that's also with a relationship, right? We've been together how many years?
26 years.
26 years. He keeps track. And how do we, keep our marriage fresh and so that it doesn't get stale, and or if we so that we don't, like, we've been in our crazy cycle, or we've been in that cycle.
Yes.
And we've had to break out of it.
And we've had to discover the short crazy cycles and the long crazy cycles, right? There was a crazy cycle that we discovered that was a year. A year a year loop. Yes.
Yep. Yeah. That's kind of like a crazy cycle nested inside of a crazy cycle.
Yes. So.
But yeah.
But yes, back to the power of the spoken word. Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you're a big proponent of that, right? Not, speaking ill, not even having fun or not even joking, right? About certain things.
Yeah.
Bordering on the superstitious.
Well, they say the brain doesn't know the difference between a joke, right?
In
reality. And so your brain takes it all as input. And it's a seed that can be planted not only in yourself, but it could be a seed that's planted in someone else. You have a stronger shield mindset, whatnot, that you can talk about certain things and it doesn't affect you in a negative way. And so I'm also mindful of the words that I speak around people that may not be able to handle, right? Handle that. I mean, take, for example, alcohol, right? I may be able to go out and drink and not have a problem with it. But if you're with someone who can't do it, even though I can handle it, I wouldn't want to put that person in a situation to have to deal with that, right? And so that's the same thing as your words. Your words are just that powerful. Some people are just affected by words, and you could say one thing and then instantly they cry, right? Well, that was me. I used to cry just at the drop of a hat, and I've had to learn to thicken my skin, I guess you could say, or not allow those words to penetrate me and my mind and cause me to spiral out of control, right? Especially if you're like a super empathetic person. Back in high school, I was a cheerleader, and we did not have the best football, team. And as a cheerleader, even if your team is losing, you don't just stand there and you're just quiet. You're still encouraging and you're trying to, hoping that your cheers are going to make a difference and help turn things around. Sometimes it does, but you don't give up, until, it's the end of the game. But then you have to come back again. And if you are on a losing streak, you still have to go out there and cheer, right? So I think that's where a lot of it comes from for me. I've learned how to cheer. We weren't a championship team when it came,
I'm just picturing the cheerleaders for the Mud Dogs of Waterboy. They're all drunk on bourbon on the sidelines, not caring about the game. So, yes.
But at any moment,
there could
be a turnaround. Someone comes in and gets everybody, and that's the thing. That's the break, right? And so for me, I just want to always be prepared in that it's going in the right direction, right? Yeah.
You want to be that chance for the turnaround.
Yes.
Right.
This is why I have remained.
And not the person who takes it from going in a good direction and steers it in the wrong direction with the wrong words. So
this is why I'm still a Dallas Cowboy fan.
Yeah.
Since Tony Dorsett. Yes.
Yep. So it's a good mentality to have, and you run into those people in your life and career that, right, they've built their life and career on pointing out the negative, right? And those voices sometimes, seem very, very strong in meetings. I've had many meetings where it was like, wow, one person can really just kind of crater the entire mood. And how do you break that out, right? Especially nowadays, with the turmoil in the tech industry and everything like that. It's there's a lot of people. Again, we always talk about a third, right? There's a third of the people that are just barely hanging on, right? They're ready to slide into that bottom third of like doom and gloom and everything like that, right? And somebody coming into a meeting and just pointing out, absolute worst case scenarios, and which are are good at some point. I don't want to say you have to have rose-colored glasses for everything, but it's the way they're talked about. Right? Is again, how do you? Yeah, and who was it? Jocko. What's his name? Jocko.
His last name, I think, is Jocko from Extreme Ownership.
Yeah, from Extreme Ownership, right? Just like, when somebody comes to him with, like, oh my gosh, the sky is falling, blah, 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 blah. Nothing's working. The enemy's against us. It's like, good. Now's our time, right? Now's our time to shine. It's like, no matter what, you come to me with bad, I'm going to say good, right? Just to get that turnaround, give you the slap in the face that you.
Yeah. And you're going to be met with resistance, and resistance is a good thing. That's where you're going to change and you're going to grow. But going through the resistance, what is your attitude? What are your words? Because it sucks to go through the resistance and you're not even enjoying enjoying the process. You just know that it's part of it, right? I'm sure with Olympic athletes, right? They train so hard for literally less than almost 10 seconds, 10 to 12 seconds of performance, right? And is it easy? I'm sure it's not. They have resistance. Yeah. Do they want to quit? Probably. But, and I think that kind of goes back to like, how can you keep a positive outlook? And that goes back to start with why, right? Know why you're doing something. If you know why you're doing it, it makes it easier to speak positivity. And like you said, no rose-colored glasses as in unrealistic.
Yeah, unrealistic.
You don't want to be like, the house is on fire and you're just like, oh, everything is fine.
I feel so warm and cozy.
Exactly. Like, that's not what we're talking about, right? We're not talking about it. And I guess you got to have a healthy balance, because I guess the people on the other end, I was very doom and gloom, I feel like, when we first got together. And you were very just like more kind of like, yay, everything's going to work out. Well, like, what's the big deal?
Everything in my life has worked out. Why would it stop now?
Yeah. Like, what? And so I think we've had to work on a healthy balance. You've had to, be able to acknowledge, like, okay, everything isn't perfect.
Plan for some contingencies.
Yes. And I've had to learn how to let go of the plan and be able to just kind of go with the flow. And so, again, a good, healthy balance.
Yes. Latasha and I are two very different vacation planners.
Yes. Yep.
Until I showed her the wonders of the freeform travel.
Yeah.
And sure, it ended up with some adventures, but
you read about that in the book.
Yeah. Oh, really? Oh, put it in the book. Okay.
Yes. But
so, yes. Yeah. So again, it's identifying probably the cycle first, right? Or the flow. What are you saying? What type of person are you? Right? And then, your thing is like, oh, well, what caused you to be that way? Right? Because you probably don't want to go in and just be like, okay, I'm going to, I think I'm a negative person, or I'm right in the middle and I want to be more positive. I'm just going to start doing more positive things, right? You have to identify, right? Oh, well, what was it, right? That made me that way, right? That way I can explore the feeling.
Yes.
Right. Of when I speak negative, right? Why am I feeling that I need to speak negative? Right. To know what that trigger is, so then you can intercept it. Right. And then inject a conscious choice until it becomes habit. Right?
Yeah.
And that could be a long time coming.
Thank you so much for bringing that up. Because I think we hear a lot of things, just like, I started off with, the power of the spoken word. And we're like, speak positive. But as you can see, as we're talking, we are finding the truth in what it is that we are saying, right? And this is what Hot Tub Talks has become for us. Like, we say one phrase, and it starts off as one thing, but then as we keep talking, then we have to start thinking about, like, okay, what if someone is opposite of that, right? Then it's just like, all right, and now you got to take a look in the mirror. What about me? And like you said, what are those triggers? It's an entire process that you go through. So sometimes we hear these tips: drink more water, get more sleep.
Yeah.
Do all of these things.
Eat less, work out more.
Eat less, work out more. But depending on your starting point, that may not work for you. So you really have to assess where you are, where do you want to go? And along the route, when these things come out, is it taking you closer to where you want to be, or is it taking you further away? And so it's really a personalized, personal approach. So if you're like, I'm already positive, well, maybe you are too positive, and you have to now
temper it a little.
Yeah.
Because in life, I guess, and from Hot Tub Talks, everything's about balance, right? Yep. Except if you're perfectly balanced, then it's like, oh, you have to be able to go to the extreme one way or the other.
Right.
So
there's always
a balance in itself.
Yeah. There's always something that you personally need to learn. And so sometimes when you have been asking a question like, oh, I've been trying to figure out how to get more, whatever. There's just different things. I need more happiness in my life. I need more
good friends. I need more excitement. I need more,
whatever that thing
tacos.
is that you are looking for. It goes back to the start with why, and it starts with a question. Then when someone says something, then it's just like, oh, it's going to resonate with you differently because it's exactly what you have been searching for. If you go, well, I already do that, then maybe that message wasn't quite for you, but maybe you can look at it and say, how can I be better at it if I already do it? Right?
Yeah. Or maybe there's a little nugget in there that you can help teach somebody, right, that is searching, that right? Again, passing it on, right? Because again, some people just do things inherently, right? Because they had, somehow it just clicked. They had the right mindset at the right time, right? But maybe they don't know how they did it, right? Or how to explain it to other people. Because again, if something's easy to you, right? Again, that curse of knowledge kicks in, and it's very difficult for you to explain it to other people.
Yeah.
Because it just seems so obvious.
It seems so obvious.
You just skip steps. Well, if you're overweight, just stop eating. Right? But that's a whole mess for a lot of people, right?
Yeah.
Because not very few people, very, 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 very few people have infinite discipline where they can just say, I'm not going to do something. Right? Yeah. And they don't do it.
But that's not even if you have the discipline to not do certain things, that's probably still not your issue, right? So as you were talking,
yeah, you're right. I mean, if you have infinite discipline, you don't have those problems.
Yeah, you don't have that problem. But maybe you are too disciplined, and that's your problem.
Oh, yeah, there you
right? Go. So for me, trying to be perfect all the time, and that perfection and what it should look like and things like that, that was causing issues. So
paralysis.
So I've had to learn to let go. Again, so the approach that I do, I would also try to impart that on everyone else, and I wanted everyone else to do it the exact same way. And when you didn't do it, I'm just going to talk about you and I. When you didn't do it,
yes, well, I didn't do it.
It just made me angry and upset, and I'm just like, just follow the plan the way I laid it out.
It's not that I'm bossy. I just have better ideas. Exactly. And that's the shirt Latasha has.
Yes, I do. But I've had to also, learn being wired that way. But going back to what you were saying, the thing that popped in my head that you said, the curse of knowledge, it's like riding a bike. You can talk to someone and say, sit on the bike, put your feet on the pedals, and just pedal. There's a whole lot of micro steps in between. And it's just like, well, just balance.
Yep, you forgot the kickstand. You forgot,
Right? There's so many things. And so you can't just say, just ride a bike, and we know that you are more like, no one just really ever just like looks at a bike and go, I'm just going to hop on it and ride it. You've either seen it and you've broken down the steps and the mechanics in your head. You're that type of person, which is you're more that type of person. You could see something, like you could see surgery being performed and probably perform it better than any doctor, just the way your mind works and how you break down things. And for me, I have to write notes. I have to hear it. I have to feel it. It like just for me to try to get one thing, correct. And I used to try to be so much like you, and I would put myself down because I wasn't that way. And I just had to realize this is just the way that I'm wired. And so going back to the words of, bossy, I do have a lot of ideas, but I had to learn how to not push my ideas onto everyone else or expect them to do it exactly the way that I wanted them to do it, because my feelings would get hurt when they didn't. So these are the type of conversations.
And you never know where they're going to lead.
You never
They may
know.
start with one topic, right, and then lead off into another. But yeah. But do we bring it back to the power of the spoken word?
The power of the spoken word.
The book hung by the tongue.
Yep. And as we said throughout the conversation, find out, listen to what we are saying, but find the truth in it for where you are in life, right? Don't just blindly just go do something because someone said to do it, right? That's not what we're here to do. We're here, I'm here to share how we have discovered things about ourselves, about our relationship, about our family, about parenting, about our work, and the process that we go through to figure these things out so that we can be a better person, be a better wife.
Yeah. And luckily we started out with, again, from very, I wouldn't say completely opposite ends of a lot of spectrums, but I mean, it was a good distance apart.
Yes.
Right. And that way, we didn't come in both having the, this almost identical overlapping framework, right? Where it's just like we just reinforced our ideas. There was a lot of like, well, this is why I do something, right? Does it work for you as a completely opposite person?
And I just want to say, you said that so beautifully. But when we first got together, it was like, you believe that?
Yeah.
Why? And so, which was a good thing. He challenged
me.
me.
You'd laid something down, and I would just shove a crowbar under it and flip it off the table. Like,
what? Wait a minute, hold up. But I'm grateful for that, because I know that I am the person that I am today. And knowing, as they can say, shake my tree, get my goat.
Get your goat. You better hide your goat.
Any of that, because I know who I am, right? And that is what you have provided for me by challenging me. But it all started off with the foundation of love, right? We, if you haven't seen our picture, we are an interracial couple.
What?
I know.
You're black? I didn't know that.
And Mark started off as an atheist. I was a believer. Rock, rap. I mean, he had some rap songs that he knew, which was really impressive.
Yeah. Because, Sir Mix-a-Lot.
Yeah, Sir Mix-a-Lot.
Yes. Cross over, right?
Yes.
Or, Run DMC and Aerosmith.
Anyway. Yeah. So, so I had my crossover song, AC/DC.
There you go. Shook me all night long.
There we go.
Oh, yeah.
So we had those things that we could find that were in common. And then we built love. We had love for one another. And because we knew that we had love for one another, which is the foundation, when they say love conquers all, that's the thing. If you don't have love for the person that you are speaking with, that you're interacting with, you don't have the best for them, right? You're not looking for the best. And when someone knows that you love them and that you care about them, you're much more willing to listen, even if it hurts. It's kind of like going into the doctor. All right, the doctor has good intentions, and so they're poking me here in this place that hurts because they're trying to help me find the problem and then fix the problem. And when I look at it that way, then I know that I can endure the pain.
Right. Yeah. And you talk about the enduring the pain, or knowing why you're doing something and learning to embrace it and enjoy it, right? That just brings up the tale of Sisyphus, right? It's you're pushing the rock up the hill continually, right? Just for it to roll back down, right, over you, and you have to do it again, and again and again and again, But the important thing about that story was that, he, again, he had enough inside of him for the previous things that happened, right, that he enjoyed it, right? It was
it's going to be hard, but
yeah. He wasn't just, again, that naysayer every day pushing the rock up the hill, right? He wasn't complaining. He wasn't doing anything like that, right? He was just pushing it up because that's the representation of life. right? It's an uphill struggle
Mm-hmm.
every time, right? So how do you do that positively?
Well, like that was a great wrap up.
Mhm.
So I don't want to say anything else after that.
Okay.
Yes. Well, thank you guys for joining us on this edition of Hot Tub Talks. Again, if you have questions for us or a topic that you would like for us to talk about in
Or
the
we made a reference,
or reference,
and
yes.
we didn't disclose where that reference are from, because unfortunately I did it with one time with Waterboy. I just should have said the Mud Dogs, the cheerleaders.
Yes,
But
exactly.
yes, if we have a reference and you want to point out that you know where that reference is from,
Yes,
yes,
put it down below. And so
yep.
we'll try to do a better job of doing that, because there will be a lot of references.
Yes.
And
Or if we forget somebody's name or a book, please drop it in the comments if you know what it
yes,
is for other people to read.
yes, thank you. Because this is going to be a team effort, a community effort. So we are
Yep.
depending on you guys to help
Yeah.
as well, and to do your own research.
Yeah. So figure out where you are in the spectrum, figure out why you're there, and then do you need to move one side or the other? So, well, with that, I believe we're done.